Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. On November 10th, at the Bloomington City Council Committee of the Whole meeting, Long-Range Planner Amir Farshi explained changes proposed to the Vehicles and Traffic chapter in the Bloomington Municipal Code. Changes included adjusting the times of limited parking zones, adding a loading zone on East 7th Street, and adjusting their map to reflect the renaming of Jordan Avenue to Eagleson Avenue.
The ordinance changes the time limit of a limited 11 parking spaces on 614 East 2nd Street in front of the Elm Restaurant. The ordinance changes the 1 hour free parking to 2 hour free parking, and it changes the enforcement hours to start from 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m.
Council member Sue Scambaluri asked when the name change from Jordan to Eagleson Avenue will officially take place. Planning Services Manager Beth Rosenbarger responded, saying it would take effect in February of 2022. At the Bloomington Arts Commission meeting on November 10th, Assistant Director for the Arts, Holly Warren, updated the board on last Friday's John Waldron's Arts Center press conference.
So we did have a press conference at the Waldron Arts Center on Friday evening just to update the public and let them know that we do have every intention of reopening the space in early January 2022. We're hoping to have a kickoff event that both celebrates the overall reopening of the space, but also highlights the 29th anniversary of WFHB, who has been a longtime resident of the space. They're going to celebrate their 29th anniversary, basically on the same date that we're reopening the facility. So as plans for that come into place, I'll be sharing more information.
Commissioner Nick Blandford discussed a stipend to artists involved in the ribbon cutting of the Trades District Garage art installation. He said the Windfall Dance Company would perform at the opening of the Trades District Garage in December and then again in spring. Warren said she was looking into industry standards and wage tools to ensure fair and respectful wages for the performances and their original choreography.
I think I can definitely take some time to just kind of learn more about what the standards are here, but also, again, I think I mentioned the wage tool last week. That is just this great tool that many arts entities use to, based on their overall budget and based on what kind of work it is it an original work or is it just like a repeat of a dance performance or a lecture, to determine what the fairest cost is. So if I could have just about a week to do that research and just
yeah, absolutely. I think it's
They will continue to discuss the stipend at the next meeting on December 8th. On November 11th, during the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board meeting, MS4 Coordinator Kelsey Thatonia informed the board about a contract they have with the United States Geological Survey and explained Monroe County's support of the project moving forward.
So this all came about because previously Monroe County has funded it was the installation and then operation and maintenance of the USGS stream gauge in Kurtz, Indiana. It's on the South Fork of Salt Creek. The stream gauge was put in as part of the Lake Monroe Watershed Management Planning effort, and they will be using the data in the Watershed Management Plan, and they hope to use it in the future as they begin implementing the Watershed Management Plan to hopefully see measurable improvements in water quality due to the reduction of non-point source pollutants. A lot of it is from agriculture, but other different practices that they can implement in the watershed.
She said that Jackson County has gotten more involved and will take on the contract with USGS since the gauge is in their county. The Monroe County Water Fund is requesting that the board fund $3,500 in 2022 for Lake Monroe watershed monitoring efforts. Chair of the Lake Monroe Water Fund Board of Directors, Jane Martin, spoke to the board.
We at the Lake Monroe Water Fund are
trying to build a coalition of the counties, particularly the upstream counties that have a big effect on our water quality. And so engaging Jackson County Soil and Water District is a big win for the coalition.
Board member Lee Jones agreed that the collaboration with Jackson County was exciting. The board unanimously approved the funding to help replace the stream gauge. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
There for me, every day.
Believing in me, showing me what's possible.
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
to say I can rather than I can't,
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
to finish school,
To own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to Cats Week. At the Monroe County Commissioners meeting on November 10th, Commissioner Penny Githens notified the commissioners of an opportunity to support Beacon Incorporated. This would help pledge financial support to secure a grant for a kitchen and winter shelter for people experiencing homelessness in Monroe County.
Beacon oversees multiple entities such as Shalom Place and a Friend's Place, and they're just bursting at the seams, literally. We don't have a winter shelter and an emergency winter shelter set up like we were able to do last year. And so the folks at Beacon Inc. Have been looking to build a new building, essentially. It's going to be very costly, but the building will be multi-story with the bottom floor providing a kitchen is what they're envisioning, but a kitchen larger than what they would actually need just for feeding their clients. It would also be a kitchen where they could do some job training. They're hoping that they could use that first floor also for an emergency winter shelter and for a low barrier shelter, as well as to do the kinds of programming that they're already doing with people. The second floor they view as a higher barrier shelter place for people to stay. And then on the top floor, they're looking to put in apartments so that people have more stable housing. They estimate the cost of this new building would be at about $10 million, and they have an opportunity through the 2022 Indiana Supportive Housing Institute to obtain up to $5 million of that cost. which would be a big boost to what's going on in our community. And we've all been involved with things with the Heading Home Plan. And so it would be additional ways to help our unhoused homeless.
Commissioner Julie Thomas said that the letter of support for Beacon Incorporated would be a good thing for everyone in the community.
And that would be benefit everyone in this community in numerous ways, and would make a huge difference in a lot of lives.
The commissioners and the council will meet next week to agree upon the letter of support for Beacon. At the Monroe County Council meeting on November 9th, Community Resilience Coordinator for the Environmental Resilience Institute, Cody Smith, presented next steps for the Hoosier Readiness Assessment.
We have provided Monroe County with a next steps report. What that is it's looking at the next steps for climate resilience in Monroe County. While you are excelling at emergency management and other areas, as you look to achieve greater climate resilience in the county, it's important to review lower scoring areas from the readiness assessment so that we can look at what those actions are. And for the sake of this presentation, I've mimicked the report as closely as possible, which follows these 4 categories that are listed here: social and financial burden, preparing for extreme heat, preparing for extreme precipitation and river flooding, and then a general category that is other actions to consider. It's important to note that all of these investments that you're going to make, according to the Building Trades Council, they say that $1 invested in hazard mitigation yields $6 in benefits over time.
Smith said that Monroe County should invest in ways to ensure that individuals who are marginalized in the community are prioritized with climate change preparation, since they are more vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. He explained that due to climate change, Monroe County is experiencing more rainfall and severe storms, and should be aware that surface and river flooding will be a large concern for the county in the near future.
In this developed area of Ellettsville, you can see that it's very much in the floodplain. And so what we want to make sure that what we're doing, and I'm not trying to call Ellettsville out at all, I'm just trying to make sure that we have an example of what we can do as a local government in building a more resilient future for our community. We can identify the houses and businesses who are most susceptible. That's what this map is aimed at doing. And make sure that we develop and adopt policies and procedures for not only post-flood repairs, but also mitigation, and make sure that we have the resources in place and the plans in place to respond when these disasters happen. And we know that precipitation is falling more so in the winter and spring months here in Indiana. It will continue to do so. And as we saw earlier, it's already increased by 8.1 inches of precipitation historically. So this is something that I think is a really actionable and important item for Monroe County to consider as well.
Smith gave actionable recommendations from the ERI that they believe are within reach of the local government and would increase Monroe County's resilience to climate change. Suggestions included passing a tree canopy ordinance, promoting energy efficiency and waste heat reduction, and promoting local food purchasing. Councilmember Trent Deckard thanked Smith for the presentation and said he has been noticing the flooding concerns himself.
Particularly around the flooding numbers that you were providing, I have anecdotally felt that and heard that from a lot of constituents and just business leaders and community members across the board acutely over the last particularly 10, 14 years or so.
Councilmember Peter Iverson also commented that while the U.S. is working on a national level to mitigate the effects of climate change, Monroe County is working on a local level to address concerns closer to home.
That as we're awaiting the final results of COP26 later this week, Cody's absolutely right that Monroe County and the Environmental Resilience Institute will continue to try and work together to solve a lot of these issues around climate crisis and to be more resilient as a community. So keep watching Monroe County. There's good things coming.
Councilmember Cheryl Munson asked about whether or not the City of Bloomington and the town of Ellettsville have taken the Hoosier Readiness Index assessment. Smith said Bloomington has taken the assessment and heard a similar presentation. However, Ellettsville has not yet done so, but the Environmental Resilience Institute is still more than happy to work with their community. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to Cats Week. On November 9th, at the Bloomington Board of Public Works meeting, Senior Project Manager for the Engineering Department, Roy Ayton, presented a change order for the 7th Street Protected Bike Lane project with Milestone Contractors. This would fund additional costs due to an unforeseen failing storm structure.
This is once again our 7th Street project. This project was awarded on May 11, 2021 to Milestone Contractors. The notice to proceed was issued this spring and work started in April. This contract included the installation of the protected bike lane along 7th Street from the Beeline Trail to North Woodlawn Avenue. The original contract amount was $2,569,500, and change orders 1 and 3 were approved by the board at their October 12th meeting. Change order 4 will add $37,463.04 and will cover the cost of replacing a failed storm sewer culvert at the intersection of 7th and Morton. Additionally, this change order will adjust the contract completion date to November 5th, 2021 by adding an additional 15 days. Upon approval, the final contract amount will be $2,609,518.73. And funding once again for this project is being brought by the 2018 Bicentennial Bond Series B, along with a $150,000 contribution by the City of Bloomington Utilities Department.
Board member Kyla Cox-Deckard asked if this is a public works or a utilities expense, and if the cost of the project was reasonable. Ayton said that the utilities department was sharing some of the cost and that they were able to negotiate to get the cost down to something that they would expect to pay if it had been part of the project from the beginning. The board voted unanimously to approve the change order. At the Ellettsville Town Council meeting on November 8th, Envision Ellettsville member Dan Rary invited residents to attend their 4th Steering Committee meeting.
And this meeting will be Tuesday, November the 16th, from 11 to 12:30 at the Town Hall. Please plan to attend. It's an open meeting. We'd love to have everybody's attendance. This is the time of our usual monthly meeting, and you may remember from the visioning plan, we have 5 stakeholder meetings, and this is number 4. At this meeting, the design group will share the SWOT analysis of our community, and that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is based on feedback they've been receiving from the survey and the focus groups and stakeholder surveys. And using this analysis and our feedback, they will be able to create an action plan for the community.
Town Council member Denise Line updated the council on the Community Crossing Grant Award.
We applied for a Community Crossings matching grant, and we received $197,175.72. Briefly, I'll just give the street names that will be paved. It's West Mustang Drive, North Sycamore Drive, Langley Drive, Renee Drive, Violet Court, North Impatience, West Association, and there will be a culvert repair on Reeves Road.
The next Ellettsville Town Council meeting will be held on November 22nd. At the COVID-19 press conference on November 5th, Mayor John Hamilton shared that OSHA published new rules for large employers regarding national safety requirements.
Let me just share some basics of that. They are very significant for large employers, including the city, which is covered, that make us take some steps in the next 30 and 60 days. Under this safety standard, again, which was published effective today, all city employees by January 4th must either be vaccinated, demonstrate their vaccination status, or get weekly COVID testing and have significant masking protocols consistently at work. The city, as one of these employers, we are evaluating our options and planning to achieve those. And I just want to note, these are not optional requirements. These are safety requirements. They're not advisory, they're not optional, they are safety requirements designed to protect the safety of everyone, just like OSHA requirements on workplace air quality or safety equipment or machinery standards or others meant to protect the safety of employees and the community at large.
Board of Health Director Penny Cottle gave an update on vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds and asked residents to be patient as the demand for the vaccine is high. She promised they will be able to fully vaccinate everyone who wants to be before Christmas. Cottle shared that Monroe County was in the yellow advisory category this week and recommended that residents maintain their diligence with mask wearing and precautions, especially with the holiday season coming up.
So as we come to a time of giving, I would request that we not give each other infections, be they the flu, COVID, or any other respiratory infection. Instead, let's give all of our efforts to giving grace and being kind, get vaccinated, follow regulations and recommendations to reduce transmission. We will get through this. Thanks, Chuck.
Monroe County Commissioner Julie Thomas reported that there is a Monroe County Township Assistance Fund for residents who need financial assistance.
The Board of Commissioners and the County Council have worked together to create the Township Assistance Fund. This is specifically designed to help folks who are struggling in the community with basic necessities, things like rent and utilities. And this is a fund being administered by the township trustees. Contact your trustee as soon as possible if you are struggling to meet basic needs. And every Monroe County resident, whether they live in the city, a town, or neither, lives in a township. And you can find your township trustee by calling 211 or going to in211.org. That Township Assistance Fund will be available at least through the end of November.
IU Health President Brian Shockney shared that the hospital is seeing higher levels of flu patients this year and urged everyone to get the flu vaccine alongside their COVID-19 vaccine. IU Chief Health Officer Aaron Carroll asked that the parents with questions about their children getting the COVID-19 vaccine should seek out well-informed answers so that they can help protect their families.
Lots of research has been done. These are safe and effective, incredibly safe. We'll be doing more monitoring as we move forward, but the harm of COVID is real. And the benefits and potential small, very, very small, if there, harms of vaccination have to be weighed against the very, very real risk of COVID. Thousands of children have been hospitalized. About half of hospitalized children wind up in the ICU. Lots of children still admitted to the hospital with MIS-C after they have gotten COVID. And of course, there's lots of illness that occurs without going to the hospitalization that can be avoided as well. Not to mention that almost all kids have people they love who are at high risk, whether they are elderly grandparents or people that they love who are immunocompromised or who have chronic conditions. Getting kids vaccinated to protect those around them is something we do all of the time. And as a pediatrician, it's something I push for all of the time. And so vaccinating your children not only protects them, and it actually, I mean, it really does protect them. It also protects those that they love around them. So, making the argument, I think it's something that absolutely everybody should do.
According to IU Director of Media Relations, Chuck Carney, the COVID-19 press conference will now be held bi-weekly. The next press conference will be on November 19th. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.